Hey, hey, habit thrivers. If you're ready to rock your next chapter, this is your place. It's time to live your most fit, fearless, and fabulous life. I believe that our daily habits and routines set the foundation for achieving our dream lives and help us find more passion and clarity with less doubt and uncertainty. So let's get cozy. Grab your planner and your favorite beverage and come along with me on this journey of reclaiming your passions and finding new ones along the way. Welcome to the Habit Thrive podcast, a podcast for women in their me now years. Hi, I'm Lori, your host, and each week we come together to create habits, routines, and rituals to reclaim our power and our awesomeness to live our best chapters yet. And speaking of next chapters, 2025, here we come. Shifting, creating, finding our flow, embracing all of it for this amazing year to come. Now, I did something a little silly. I asked AI if 2025 was going to be a good year, and she said yes. I know it's a little silly or a little creepy even, but I will take positivity over the current news at any time. So why AI said that 2025 is going to be a positive year is that there are many industries and personal development trends right now that are focusing on sustainability and innovation. We have advances in green energy and in medical technology that could potentially improve quality of life, breakthroughs in space exploration and expanded lunar exploration, global awareness, and just positive shifts. There will be, and I've seen this coming, an increased focus, of course, on mental health, climate change, and global cooperation that may lead to more solutions even for some of these pressing challenges, and more people prioritizing mindfulness, balance, or what we talked about a couple of episodes ago, shifting, and their personal happiness. So, wow, that makes me smile. I say thank you, AI. I would rather read this and listen to this than go through some of the news clippings right now. So let me ask you, how are you going to prioritize mindfulness, balance, and personal happiness in 2025? Might I suggest a framework to explore, and if you'd like to do this with me throughout the month of January, the relationship and interweaving of seasonal themes, goals, habits, routines, and rituals, how they all come together for our personal health and happiness. In today's episode, I'd like to explore seasonal themes because over the month of January, again, we will dive into the difference between seasonal themes and goals, and then how the smaller habits and how they group together routines, how they work together to help us establish and reach our goals and bring us these larger themes and larger feelings that perhaps we want to feel in 2025. So I've read quite a few blogs, actually just in the last few days, about tossing out the concept of goal setting, that we're either setting our goals for 2025, and that's very much related to resolutions. And if you haven't heard this already, resolutions are definitely not trending anymore. And even goal setting is being kind of questioned and saying, well, instead of focusing on goal setting, where sometimes we're setting ourselves up for failure and sometimes goals feel very rigid and very judgmental sometimes, that the concept of focusing on themes that are kind of wider areas, they have more spaciousness, like simplicity or self-care, or let's see, what else can I come up with in terms of courage and organization even can be a theme for an entire year. For sure it can. So when we think of themes, again, I use that word spaciousness. And that's what comes to mind for me. Also, they can serve as an anchor for your goals. Now, I don't want to toss out the concept of goals, though. I don't think it's you are either setting goals or you are creating themes or thinking about themes for 2025, but they work beautifully together because once you have an overall theme, let's say you want to really work on your physical health this year or your mental health, and they're always crossing over to a degree, but focusing on the goals. This is the focus. This is the action, taking action in terms of being able to actually achieve this idea of this wider feeling, this larger feeling that you want to reach for in 2025. So throughout January, I'm going to suggest that we do meld both. And in fact, not just an overall theme for 2025 and some goals for 2025, but again, how those little kind of foot soldiers, the habits and routines come together to really put them into place, really put some oomph behind them, very action oriented. So balancing all of that. And you might be asking yourself right now, I can't even think about that right now. I'm just happy to be putting away some Christmas decorations right now, just kind of relaxing after the busyness of the holidays. And actually, I'm with you. I am totally with you as we are moving into January. I like the idea actually of just not rushing this, but also knowing that at some point, if I don't start to do some planning and some visioning forward, then I can feel a little disconnected and actually not even as happy as I normally do when I'm looking forward to things and setting some goals and thinking forward just into even January and February, and then, of course, into the spring and the summer, and then into the fall. And it's not about this feeling of, well, then we're not in the present moment if we are visioning forward, but we can vision and be happy in the present moment, thinking about the future. Now, I'm not sure if that totally came out right, but I get the question often, and especially in January, as we're thinking, oh, I just don't have the bandwidth right now. I just don't have the energy right now to be setting goals or to be even thinking about a word or a phrase for 2025. And if that's the case right now for you, I would say absolutely just leave it. Just putter around. It could be something physically in your house. It could be that you're just wanting to really hunker down and rest for, could be a few days, could be a couple of weeks. And then truly you will know when you're ready. It's that feeling that often comes up in the change of season or the change in the months from August to September, for example, where all of the sudden it's like, oh, I need to get back to my routine. I need a structure. I need a plan. And it hits everybody in different ways at different times. But I often look at this transition, the transition again of August to September, the transition of December to January or January to February. All of a sudden in your mind and your body, you're like, I'm ready. And so if you're not ready right now, I would invite you to just, again, listen to this podcast. Just take it in and even the episode, over the episodes that we're doing over the course of January. And when you're ready, they're going to be there to support you. So in today's episode, I do want to look at the month of January. When I think for me, and I have to come back to for me, for the month of January, my theme, and you're going to notice again, I'm not taking my theme right out to 2025. My theme right now for January is rest and reset. And for me, again, and you're going to be tired of hearing me keep saying for me but I want to keep saying that because this aspect of being aware of your flow, of your energy, what motivates you when you're ready to do something is so important. And again, it's not something that we're taught. This is a huge part of the reason I wanted to actually do this podcast and to make it seasonally based and to be recording in the moment, in the transition, because that is not something I'm going to say initially years ago that I was practicing, but it has become stronger each and every year, and especially as I came into recording this particular podcast. And so for you right now, listening or walking or skiing, I'm going to circle back a little bit. And I'd like you to think about for 2025, if there is a word or a phrase that comes up for you that is perhaps your theme. Sometimes when we're thinking about a theme again for an entire year, it feels overwhelming, which is why I keep coming back to January. And we will be focusing on January only in this particular episode and for the month of January. But every now and again, I'm going to encourage you to take your focus a little bit wider and to take it out to 2025. Because when you start to think about a theme for an entire year, when you even write it in your journal, right, you think about it, it will pop up for you over and over again. In different ways, I might say, though. These images will come up through magazine articles, through blog. And when you start to think about a word or a phrase, and it ends up being perhaps a theme for the entire year, you will just keep getting more and more information and more support and more yeses for this particular theme or this particular feeling. I'm actually going forward in 2025 with my 2024 word phrase, which is unapologetically courageous. I felt like I just kind of scratched the surface of this phrase in 2024. And for some reason, I am just hearing it over and over and over again now. I'm doing actually a 21-day challenge that's put on by Gabby Bernstein. So I do this actually, I've probably done this in the last few years. I don't think I missed a year in the last, let's say at least in the last 3 years. She uses the term unapologetically courageous over and over again. And I thought, okay, this is another signal. So this is going forward with me into 2025. And so when you're thinking about a word, a phrase, a feeling, okay, a situation, again, this is simplicity is something that is coming up over and over again for people. They just want to simplify their house. They want to simplify actually their routines, their schedules. If that's coming up for you and it's resonating even a little bit, just write it down right now. Or start to, again, just store it away in your mind, because if it's the right thing for you, signals will come up, blogs will come up, conversations will come up. And so for me, for the year, again, going forward with unapologetically courageous, and I'm really going to dig into this for sure this year. And I'm starting in the month of January with an overall theme of rest and reset. Because as I rest and reset in January, that actually equips me, supports me, resets me to move out of January into the rest of winter feeling stronger, feeling more balanced, can I say, and ready for more unapologetically courageous activities. So for January, thinking about what rest and reset means to me physically, mentally, emotionally, okay, even food wise. For me, physically, it means yoga. And it doesn't mean strong yoga, power yoga. It means restorative yoga. It means yin yoga. It means flow yoga. And it's coming back to practices that are a little bit longer, that are lots on the floor, lots on the floor, rolling and stretching and yawning and breathing and supported by bolsters and pillows, right? In front of fireplaces as often as I can. So this is my rest and reset movement yoga, as well as some Pilates. I love my Pilates. I love the connection to my deep inner core. And it doesn't have to be super intense, but it's the connection to the breath. It's the connection, especially at the end of the exhalation, to the deep inner core of strength. And strength, when you connect at the deepest level, can actually make you feel more relaxed. Like you've got the strength to make decisions. You've got the strength to do what you need to do physically, mentally, emotionally. And so when I'm talking about rest and resetting in January, it's not about putting my feet up, resting back in my lazy boy, and not doing anything for the month of January. But it's about picking my favorite movements that restore me. And yoga, Pilates, being outside, definitely putting my skis on as much as I can, but not from a downhill perspective. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But for me, it's being out on my own, definitely sometimes with my husband and Jammer's my dog, where we are out in nature and we're not going fast. We're just literally skiing a little bit, stopping, maybe taking some pictures, especially if the dog's with us. We're not going that fast or that far, but it's the experience. What feeds your soul? What helps you connect to yourself, to nature, to 2025? And so really thinking about it, journaling about it, and noticing when you're in the moment. Yes, this feeds my soul. Because for me, let's say physically, it's not about going to a HIIT class. It's not about CrossFit. It's not about pounding my feet on a treadmill. Now, for some of you, it could be. And that's the importance of knowing. You might be coming out of December and going, oh my gosh, I just need to move and I need to move fast and I need to increase my intensity. And that is what makes you feel good physically, mentally. Could be like a very fast, again, ski. It could be downhill skiing. You're going for it. And then you notice, this is what I need right now. This is my reset, this is your reset, okay, for the month of January. But being in the movement and noticing what your body needs, your mind, again, mind, body, spirit in January, is a skill. It's not something that we're, again, taught to do. And the more we are in that moment and notice, I can absolutely assure you that you will enjoy the experience that much more, and you will benefit from it. So mentally in January, for me, this is the journaling time. This is the visioning time. This is also the planning time. So I've just started with my 2025 planner, habit tracker, and journal. I'm so excited. And this is my most favorite time actually to plan. And what I like about it is that it feels very restful. I know it sounds kind of silly. You're thinking, oh, like planning is restful. Planning can be, for some people, stressful. It feels like it takes too much energy. But when I'm not in a rush to do something, when I'm with my journal, I have my tea, I have my highlighters, I have my markers, I have my stickers, I have it all around me. And I know that January is the time to plan, to reflect, to vision. It just lines up. It's about alignment. That's the word I was looking for. It's about alignment. It aligns with January. When I pause for a moment and I look out the window and I see, again, snow or even snowflakes coming down, right? It's that stillness. It's that calmness. It's that feeling of hunkering down and moving in, knowing that I'm going to be moving out again starting in February and then into March and then into April. But all of this planning that is done in January for activities that I want to do a little later on, if I don't plan for it, I don't get to look forward to it. That's the coolest thing about planning. It's cultivating optimism. We're looking forward. Now, this is especially important for those of you that winter is tougher because not everybody loves winter. You can probably tell, I do really enjoy winter because I like to be outside, but that's not for everybody. And so it is actually more important for those of you who are feeling, again, even in January, it can feel down. There's melancholy. There's, oh my gosh, the winter is laying ahead of me. How am I going to manage this winter? And this is where planning becomes even that much more important. Because if you are planning forward into February and March and April and into the summer, that's a fantastic mood booster right there. And so wherever we are in January, how attached we are to January, how we feel in January, how we feel about winter, planning and visioning forward and celebrating the activities, the moments in the day, even a really good downward dog or a really good shavasana, relaxation. This is what helps us move through the winter. And for some of us, not just move through the winter, but really engage in it and love it even more. And so that is let's say, the emotional, mental part of it. Meditation, I have to throw it out there as well. It is my time to explore different apps, different programs, to kind of shake it up a little bit for me in terms of my meditation. And my meditations are longer in the winter as well. And so you don't have to do exactly the same thing 365 days of the year. And in fact, I recommend that some of the habits and routines that we're doing happened in a particular season. And then we change them up, keep them fresh, keep them new. We also figure out what works for us and what doesn't work for us. And this is, again, a really cool thing that is part of winter. So physically, again, I just move the way my body wants to move and really enjoy it a little bit slower, right? Not in a rush. Mentally, emotionally, journaling, reflecting, planning, visualizing, and whatever you have. So if you're doing this in a digital program as well, okay, or in a written journal, however it's working for you. And also just even thinking about how we can reset our bodies in terms of food and in terms of nutrition in January. And it's not just about, oh my gosh, I have to eat healthier. I just ate crap all over, the holidays. I ate so many sweets and I ate too much. I would say this is, again, very personal as I'm moving into January. It's like, oh, I enjoyed so much. I actually just had a turtle. I had a turtle within the last hour. I just said to my friend, we were having a visit, and she gave me a homemade turtle. And I'm like, I did not even have one homemade turtle over the holidays. Not because I didn't want them, but because I didn't end up getting them. I don't make them, but I do purchase them homemade. So that was my one and only turtle. And she can vouch for me right now. She's listening to this. She's going to laugh when she's listening to this. I sat there and I savored that turtle. And this is how I like to think about the holidays, the different foods, the different sweets. And so as I move into January, it's not about guilt. It's not about shame. It's not about I have to. It's okay, time for a little bit of a reset here. And that resetting sometimes is, yes, less sweets. But I'll tell you, I start my morning. This came from my Ayurvedic training in the last year. I love having fruit now on its own in the morning. And in the winter, it is stewed fruit. So it's apples, it can be pears, whatever I have, whether it's pears, whether it's dried apricots, prunes, a cinnamon stick, a little bit of vanilla, and it's on the stove at least 3 times a week because I'll make one batch and it will last for 2 days. and I have that stewed fruit. Now the aroma is going through the house, which is absolutely amazing. And then having that on its own, it's been a game changer for my mornings. And so fruit on its own from an Ayurvedic perspective, okay? And then from there, Ayurvedically again, moving into a larger warm lunch, whether it is soup and crusty bread with, I love my khichdi. Again, khichdi is very much a reset for your digestion, and I love it all year round. And my teacher, Ayurvedically, will say sometimes that khichdi can, um, we need in the winter to have something that's a little bit more substantial, that is a little more creamier. And so sometimes moving into the winter, I'll have a creamier khichdi. In the fall, it will be a little bit drier. And again, if you haven't had khichdi, look it up. It's Kitchari. It's a complete meal. It's amazing. It's a digestive reset. And it just feels, it just feels like you are nurturing, which you are, nurturing your mind, your body, and your soul. This is how I feel about, again, the food that we put in our body. So that's over lunch. When you go into dinner time, should be a little bit lighter from an Ayurvedic perspective, easier to sleep. But in the winter, again, we still are looking for the warm, the creamy, a little bit more substantial, but it is a little bit less than perhaps I was eating in December. And so there's a little bit of cleansing, there's a little bit of resetting from a nutrition standpoint, but not from a place of deprivation or shame or guilt. It's just a reset. It's just a transition. And when you start to feel that clarity, when you change your nutrition, even over the course of a day or two, you will notice, oh, actually, I feel a little clearer. I feel a little lighter. I feel a little better. And that's where you make a note mentally, or you make a note in your journal or your planner. And for me, it's for me to remember. It's like, yes, I want to come back to that. And that's why it goes in my journal. And I keep coming back, definitely over the winter months, because it's different than what I eat in the spring and the summer. And so rest and reset in January. Physically, what are you doing? Mentally, emotionally, right? What's working for you? What would you like to explore and play with? Okay, diet, nutrition. What's speaking to you? What would you like to reset? What would you like to play with? And so again, I've been sharing what January is for me. Your January could be quite different, so that you do you, no question. And what you want to notice is, do you feel better? Do you feel good? Do you feel content? And if you feel like you want to tweak something, this is your opportunity to tweak it. So as we move through the month of January, we're going to be playing with this. So this is our theme. This is my, again, suggested theme for January. We're going to dive into some goals for sure, and a few more habits and routines that will support the theme of rest and reset for January. So in the meantime, have fun playing. This is what it's all about. Noticing, perhaps writing things down, and sharing. I love, love, love hearing how you might be discovering new ways of doing things in the month of January. And so as we pause here at the end of this episode with the theme of rest and reset, let's take a breath in through your nose, out through your mouth, shoulders dropping, connecting to the ground, and knowing that a nice long exhale is one of the best ways to reset your body and your mind and your spirit. So have a wonderful, wonderful week, everyone. And I look forward to continuing this exploration into rest and reset for January next week. Bye for now.
If you love this episode, I guarantee you're going to love exploring all the amazing opportunities that await us in reclaiming our awesomeness together. So come on over to my Facebook group, women's wellness community for women wanting to rock their Me Now years, or let's connect over on Instagram at HabitGuru365 and make the Habit Guru podcast your healthy new habit.